This episode is very different than every other one. It's for the boys. So, hi. If you're a man, pull up a chair. If you're a woman who loves a man or wants to listen for a man, you're welcome to. I want to talk today about something that no one in most men's lives are going to say out loud. Actually, multiple things. Things that the algorithm isn't going to feed you, because the algorithm is really busy showing you protein powder and women in their 20s who are not, in fact, going to fix you. I know I'm probably not who you expect to be saying this, and that's fine. That's fine. You can stay anyway. I've been feeling inspired to make some episodes for men or geared towards men recently, watching the men I love go through life with less support and less understanding of what they need for support than most women. So, if it's your first time here, welcome to Pulling Threads. I'm Leslie, and today, for the first time, I'm doing an episode that is specifically for the men. And if you're a woman listening, you are very welcome here, and I think you'll learn a lot. But the words today are addressed to him for the first time in this podcast's existence. This is the first entry in a new playlist I'm creating and calling For the Boys. The work I do at the Loom Life, if you don't know, is built around attachment, nervous system regulation, and how human beings move through big transitions. Most of my work is with women, but the patterns that I'm going to walk through today are not gendered patterns. They're biological ones. And the men in your life or the man listening are operating from very little real information about what is actually happening to them in a lot of cases. And I do believe men need support too. I want to be honest that growing up, men were not my favorite. I may have even been a self-proclaimed man hater, like early in my life, in my early adult life. However, as I've grown, I've also grown to have so much more compassion for men, especially in my age range, we'll say from 40 to the 50s, because now I recognize like how hard it was for them and how they were programmed just like we were, but just in a different way. All of us were programmed, and all of us have some scars and some things to learn about life much later because of that early programming, which didn't always work for us. So why are we here? Well, you might be here because something's not okay, because maybe your wife left, maybe you left her, maybe the legal pieces are all done for you, or maybe you're still grinding through the courts. Maybe no one left you. You just currently are between relationships. Whatever shape your divorce, separation, life transition is taking right now, whatever brought you to this video, whatever search terms you typed in, was probably some version of why does it hurt this much? You expected to have big feelings. You expected to feel sad. You expected to feel angry. You might even have expected to grieve, depending on what you're going through. What you maybe didn't expect was the silence when someone is gone that's been in your life for a long time. So we are going to focus on the loss that is experienced after divorce, separation, or breakup. One of the things that I think most men that I talk with bring up is that they didn't expect the silence. They didn't know that the house was going to feel so different when they came home after work. The way that 9 o'clock hits you and nobody's there but you. The way that you reach for your phone or any voice just to make contact with another human. And how that feeling landed and how to make that feeling stop. Most men I've ever spoken to about this describe the same set of symptoms: restlessness that won't burn off, a specific kind of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, reaching for things like bourbon, apps, the gym in a way that feels almost punishing, but it doesn't actually land. And underneath all of that, it's this, people describe it as like a hum. It's like a constant low grade hum that feels like something's wrong. And that hum has a name. It isn't depression exactly. And it isn't really grief either. It's your nervous system that's alone, let's say for the first time in 20 years, if you're coming out of a long-term marriage. And I think here's what almost nobody tells men about long marriages when they are coming to an end. Somewhere along the way, your wife stopped just being your partner. She was your nervous system's anchor, and you may have been hers too. There's a concept in the body work that I draw from called co-regulation. And the simple version is two nervous systems in proximity over time learn to settle each other. They take cues from one another. Her breath in the bed beside you was telling your body something. The sound of her moving around the house was telling your body something. Even the arguments were telling your body something. The thing they were telling your body was, someone is here. You're not alone in the dark. There's another nervous system in the room, and we know how to do this together no matter what's going on. Most people do not realize the impact of having another person sleeping next to you, snoring aside. So when she leaves or you leave her, I think many men are surprised that their body isn't just grieving the marriage and having someone there for company or to do things with or for you. The body actually grieves the regulation, the co-regulation. I can relate to this. When I was married, I would often get used to having someone there, and then he would go away for long periods of time. And then the longer we were married, the less he came home at all because of his job. And it reached a point where I would feel so lonely. I forgot what it felt like eventually, though, to be co-regulated. And then when we would go on a trip or we would spend periods of time where he was home and they would go away, I couldn't sleep again. So over time, we get used to just being next to another body. And overnight, because we're lying next to one another, we are getting regulated. We're also getting some good neurochemicals. So when that signal goes silent and your nervous system, which spent like 20 years or 10 or 5 learning how to settle in her presence, suddenly it doesn't know how to settle in her absence or in your partner's absence. Not everyone has a her. So I don't think we talk about this enough, about that lack of regulation that we got from another person who's now gone. And this is why the silence in the house is so loud sometimes. It's not a metaphor. Your body is missing actual sensory input that was telling it you're safe. Now the biology gets more uncomfortable because what your body is going to do in the absence of that input is something I want to name very clearly. It's going to seek another input as soon as possible and by any means available in some cases. This is the moment when you find yourself on Hinge at 11 at night. This is the moment when you message the woman from work that you should not be messaging or that you don't really want to message. This is the moment when you sleep with someone who absolutely is not the right person for you. You feel briefly better when you get the dopamine hit, and then you feel worse than when you started. It's not a character failure, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. Your nervous system is trying to get its anchor back. And the mistake that we often make is that believing that any woman will work or any man. They won't. Most of them won't work. But we're going to come back to that. Okay. Here's the second thing that no one is telling you about, and no one talks about with men. And honestly, this might be the part that hurts the most. I think it also hurts a lot for the women that I work with. Most men, by the time you reach your 40s or your 50s, have outsourced emotional intimacy almost entirely to your wife. I know you might not think that when you're married. Maybe you do, but it's true. Men rely very heavily on women in heterosexual couples to be their emotional support. And I want to be very careful about how I say this because it's also not your fault. You weren't given like the tools, many of you were not taught as children in this culture to have emotional intimacy. The culture you were raised in told you that emotional intimacy is what happens with the woman you love. And everywhere else, you stay kind of light. You talk about the game, the football team that you love, you talk about work, but you don't say the actual things often. So your wife became the only person on the planet that you ever actually told the truth. Which means when she leaves, or when you leave her, you don't just lose a partner, you lose your entire, sometimes, emotional infrastructure of your entire life. You look around for the friend you can call at 10 o'clock at night when it's really bad, and you realize that you don't have one. Really, not in the way that you needed. There's no replacement for her. There's research on this. Divorced men are statistically lonelier than widowed men. They're lonelier than divorced women. And it's not because you cared less about the marriage. It's because the architecture of your social life was built around one person, and now that person is gone. I want to say something to you here, and I want you to hear it. This is one of the reasons men in your demographic die and have poor health. Specifically, midlife male suicide rates in this country are devastating. A significant portion of them happen post-divorce. The connection between male loneliness and male death is not abstract. Now, I want to be honest with you. The instinct to download the apps, get a new her, and plug in where the old one was, that instinct is real, makes total biological sense. I understand your needs. I have them too. Your nervous system is looking for a co-regulator. You probably think that you're just looking for sex, but it's looking for your body to fall asleep next to somebody. It doesn't care about your timeline or your healing or whatever your therapist gave you for homework or what everyone says that you need to do. Here's the trap. If you find her right now and you're just in the process of divorce or you're just out of the divorce, if you just plug a new woman into the nervous system socket your wife used to fill, you're probably not going to heal. You're going to repeat. You're going to pick the same person and do the same things and just make the same mistakes. And you'll probably repeat with someone shockingly similar to your ex. Because your body's not actually looking for a different woman. Your body is looking for a familiar regulation pattern, that of your wife. This is why so many post-divorce relationships crash and burn inside the 18-month mark. You weren't dating her. You were using her as a defibrillator, essentially. But I want to be really tender about this because if you've already done it, if you've already tried this, and you've already tried to find your wife's nervous system in another body, or if you already have a new her, it's not going very well, and you're starting to suspect what I'm saying. I'm not coming for you. I'm just naming it. We girls do this too. So whatever happens next, you're going to have more language for it and a better understanding of why you took this path and how you got where you got. So let's talk about what you do. All right. 3 things. They're not flashy. They're not fancy. Most things that make us feel better aren't. First, and I know you don't want to hear this, you build the capacity to be with yourself. Not in a punishing, monk on a mountain kind of way. No monk mode. In your nervous system learns to settle without an external anchor kind of way. Walks, sleep, runs, cold water, breath. The unglamorous, unsexy practices that quietly rewire your baseline. That's the goal. None of them feel like they're doing anything. All of them are doing everything. And they're so helpful. Second, you build at least one real friendship. Not a sports buddy, a man you can call when it's bad. If you have to start from zero, many of you do, you start from zero. Find a men's group. Take up something that puts you in the same room with the same guys every week. Reconnect with a friend that you ghosted in 2009. Maybe he just got divorced too. The point is, stop concentrating on all your emotional weight being on a romantic partner. That's what got you here. If the next woman in your life is again your only person, you'll just rebuild the same trap. Third, when you do date again, and you will, you'll date from a different place, from wholeness instead of rescue. You'll be able to tell within 3 dates whether she is a partner or a defibrillator. You'll stop confusing chemistry with co-regulation hunger. That, by the way, is when dating actually starts to work. That's when you meet your person. And here's the thing I want to plant for next time. The goal is not to become a man who can find a woman. The goal is to become a man who can hold a relationship instead of a man who needs a relationship to hold him. That's a different shape of man, and we're going to get there. I know that there's a part of you that listened to this and felt something loosen, I hope. That's the part of you that I'm talking to. The part that already knew. The part that was just waiting for someone to name it. You're not broken. You're not failing. You're going to be okay. You're safe. Your nervous system is doing exactly what nervous systems do when the anchor leaves, and your wife or your girlfriend was your anchor. The path back is real, and it's quieter than you think. And listen, I see you out there at 11 at night scrolling. Put the phone down. Go to bed. We'll talk tomorrow. Before I let you go, one note about where this is all going. The next episode in this playlist is called How to Be a Man a Woman Feels Safe With. It's about masculine presence, but not as performance, not what you might think of as masculine presence, not as a playbook, not the game, as a nervous system phenomena. If you've read G.S. Youngblood's book, Masculine in Relationship, and you felt something click, that's the territory we're going. But here's the thing, you can't shortcut that. The inner work that we did today, that's what makes the next episode possible. If you want to keep going with this work, I'm at theloomlife.com. I do primarily see women, but I will open spaces on my calendar for men because I love you too. The link to book a discovery call is in the show notes. It's a real conversation with a real human, no pressure. If this episode is more relevant, to a man in your life, please send it to him. That's how this gets where it needs to go. And until next time, I hope to hear from some of you. I would love to hear in the comments what your experiences were. I'd love to hear from men who've had this experience and could share with other men how they got through this, how long it took them, and just be a little vulnerable. Share what this felt like, share what it feels like right now. And I'm really curious. One of my recommendations is a men's group. I'm very curious for the men out there how available men's support groups are for men going through a divorce. Do you feel held? Do you feel supported? And does that environment feel safe for those of you who've tried it? Till next time.